Why We Should Allow Performance-Enhancing Drugs in Sports by Julian Savulescu, Bennett Foddy, and Megan Clayton, presented by Group 7. The three aforementioned authors of this article are philosophical researchers who choose to argue the perspective as to why PEDs or performance-enhancing drugs would not interfere in the competitive nature of sports, nor the sportsmanship and respect in those sports. The ethical dilemma regarding the use of PEDs is that regardless of them being illegal or illegal, athletes use them to gain an advantage. And therefore, by permitting them in the sports, they are better regulated and it would level out the playing field.
So this article lists many points as factors defining the spirit of sport. And we briefly describe why the use of performance-enhancing drugs, or PEDs, by professional athletes will not infringe on these pillars of sportsmanship. The first one being ethics, fair play, and honesty. There is no ethical dilemma when competitors are open and honest about the use of PEDs. The only unfairness would take place when a competitor is using them when it is not permitted to gain an unfair advantage over their rivals. So if the rules were to change and it was transparent, then there would be no unfairness. Another dilemma of PEDs is health risks. And while PEDs can be dangerous, their use in the context of professional sports has quite minimal risk. Since they are a professional athlete, they would be under scrupulous medical examination, and a doctor would perform the necessary blood tests and otherwise to ensure that the athletes are being safe in their use. Another key factor of the spirit of sport is excellence and performance. Part of sportsmanship is the pursuit of excellence of performance. And there's a very strong argument to be made that PEDs are part of the technological advancement that guide us into the future of athleticism, just like new equipment or other technologies that we develop. So it can be part of our toolbox to break barriers that we never thought possible. Another key aspect of sportsmanship is character and education. And the use of PEDs would not have much of an effect on this, since through most of the athlete's life and athletic career, they would not be using it. So in a school setting, it would not affect their education or their development of character, since student athletes are not professionals.
The use of PEDs does not detract from the fun and joy of casual and amateur sports players. It only raises the bar for professionalism and teamwork. PEDs have no effect on the team dynamics between players. They only increase physical thresholds. Moving on to dedication and commitment. PEDs are not a magic substance that are instantly make somebody excellent. Hard work and dedication are still required to see results and improvement. Next on, respect for rules and laws. If PEDs were made acceptable in professional sports, they would not infringe any rules. Respect for self, others, participants. The use of PEDs does not necessarily violate any individual's self-respect. Courage and solidarity. The use of PEDs only increases physical thresholds of the body. Courage and solidarity would be unaffected, holding true to the spirit of sport.
All right, now we're going to look through the perspective of a few ethical theories, starting off with deontology. Generally, a deontologist would say that the use of PEDs in sports is unethical in the current state in which they're in, because they give an unfair advantage, they could cause potential bodily harm, and are a genuine violation of the rules, and would harm the integrity and trust in these sports. However, if a PED was made legal, and in the context of professional athleticism, the rules would be changed. There would be no broken rules when an athlete uses a PED. There would be no unfair advantage as everyone has access to the same PEDs, and the risk of bodily harm would be mitigated as there would be a consultation from medical professionals on time always. And the integrity would remain transparent as everybody is aware of the PEDs that everybody is taking. The deontologist could go either way on the approach of legalization of PEDs regarding all of these ethical dilemmas for professional athletes.
Now we'll take a look at a utilitarian approach. A utilitarian would approach the ethics of the use of PEDs involving potential gains and losses. Potential benefits would include increased physical performance and spectator entertainment, with drawbacks such as potential health risks and the consequences of breaking rules. If PEDs were made legal for athletes, however, rules would no longer be broken since the rules would accommodate it, and potential health risks would be minimized due to proper administration by healthcare professionals. For these reasons, I believe a utilitarian would be in favor of the legalization of PEDs for professional athletes.
Virtue ethics. A virtue ethics main concern would regard the development of virtue within a given sport as well as given authentic and fair. Whether or not an individual takes PEDs does not diminish the virtue in their sports that is earned through a lifetime of hard work and dedication. PEDs alone are not enough to make anybody a professional athlete. Instead, they moderated use would raise the upper limits for those who are already at the cutting edge of human performance. I believe most virtue ethics would not object to the legalization of PEDs for professional athletes, since despite the drug use, the athlete would still be practicing and strengthening their virtues through genuine efforts in the pursuit of excellence.
We believe the argument made about the use of performance-enhancing drugs is solid because it would level the playing field since cheaters will always find a way to not get caught. The argument could be made that banning them would also make competitors equal, but cheaters can always find a way to evade being detected, especially considering the amount of money on the table for professional athletes. Further, it would also not detract from the spirit of sportsmanship since the game and the principles it's based upon would remain unchanged. And lastly, it would allow for further achievement and advancement of what we ever thought was possible for a human body. A real-world example of this that we can see in application is bodybuilding and powerlifting sports, where there are drug-tested and undrug-tested divisions to most major events, providing a space for professional athletes who choose to take drugs and those who don't, where they can coexist under the same event and organizers and compete on equal footing with opponents. Thank you for listening to our presentation on the ethics of legalizing performance-enhancing drugs in professional sports.